Shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Al-Shah, Ba'ashem Kakwadash, and above the city apostles and elders, grand millstone, and Shalom to the Aki. I'm teaching his word throughout the four corners. And true sincerity. Back with the lesson. Experience probably Yahweh, Ba'ashem Al-Shah. Alright, Lord, in this lesson, edify unto the elect. Okay, the true name of God is Yahweh, which means he is, alright, or he exists, or is to be. All right, and the son's name Yahweh Shai, which means he saves or he delivers. All right, the true chosen people of the scriptures are the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, the topic of this lesson, going into more news, topics. All right, with the MOTB, and we're getting closer and closer. To that mark, according to Revelation 13:16, gets fully, implemented. All right, you may ask yourself, why are you, talking about this, etc. But this is our job, right, to prophesy, all right, the things before they, happen. Okay, it's Isaiah 42:9. It says, behold, the former things are come to pass. And new things do I declare before they spring forth. I tell you of them, right? And this goes for many things, with the World War III, the end times, okay? The judgment that the Lord is about to bring across the four corners of the earth, the race wars, the famines, the pestilences, okay, the sword, all right, Jacob's trouble, and also the MOTB. So our job is to warn, all right, the people. And who are the people? Our people. All right, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are what's to come, because this is a very major, prophecy that's going to come to pass in these end times. Because this, because we won't be down to take, this, brain hit, like it says, we're going to be exiled out of society. Okay, we're going to get thrown out of our houses. We're basically going to be, pilgrims. And we're going to be, some of us, not all of us, are going to be, persecuted. Okay. Another scripture for that is Revelation 20:4. It says, I now saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shai, and for the word of the Most High, which had not worshipped the beast, all right, neither his image, nor had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with a Mashiach 1,000 years. All right. So because we're not down for this system, all right, this revised, Roman system, which is that image, okay, and because we didn't take the MOTB, which is that mark, and we worship the beach, which, represents, the NATO and the EU, because we're not down for their system, certain men, okay, that's a part of the elect, will get killed. All right, we're prepared for this. All right, the Lord told us, all right, blessed are, we're blessed, to know this is Matthew 10, Matthew 5. 10 is just, blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad. So we're supposed to rejoice at these things, and men, mainly Esau, Edom, because he's going to be the one that's doing the persecution, that's going to cause the persecution of, the prophets. All right, nothing new under the sun, of course. These things happened before. The men of the Lord were, brought up against, high officials. All right. It's like a Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They don't want to bow down to the image. All right. So, during these times, it's the same thing. But it's blessing. We're supposed to rejoice and be glad. These things are happening to us, because this is what it takes. This is what we signed up for. And because we're teaching his word, that means that we're doing an amazing job, because his word is wicked. So when we preach about, not taking the MOCB, because that's basically pledging allegiance to Esau, Edom, and this satanic, kingdom. All right. That's what is going to happen. All right. And we rejoice at that. Because again, we not, scriptures say, Before I go there, I'm gonna finish reading this. It says, "For great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted the prophets which were before you." So yeah, as I was saying, I should have finished reading it, but as I was saying, this happened in the past. But again, this is this has been predestined. This all about predestination. Those that are part of the elect won't take it. It's Revelation 11, Romans, Salakia 11:4. It says, "But what saith the answer of the Most High to him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men which who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal." So that 7,000 represents a complete number, all right, which are the elect, which are not going to bow down to this system, all right. So again, you got to talk about we come into persecution for not taking the mark of the beast, all right, us being exiled of society, us being brought to high officials, okay. And it's not gonna be everybody, of course. All right, cause some of us are gonna be pilgrims, running away from troops and etc. Whatever it may be. But generalizing it. All right, we're gonna be basically wanted. All right, but I'm gonna read the article. It says Elon Musk Neuralink predicts 20,000 brain C-hips implants a year by 2031, and it's they really want more than that. All right, cause their NWO is their date is 2030, and they really want to have everybody, all right, chipped up. It says Musk expects Neuralink brain chip to generate an estimated $1 billion in annual revenue by 2031, but he has a long history of over promising. Elon Musk has big ambitions for his brain chip company Neuralink. He told investors that he plans to implant 20,000 people a year with Neuralink chips by 2031. So, this is these are the times that we living in. All right, and again, they want more than that. Okay, but as you can see, the things that we're talking about is not, far fetched. All right, it's not, something new. All right, these devils have, been planned to make this happen since I believe the 90s. They was talking about, making man one with machine and having people, chipped up. And even before that, you had our apostles talking about it, in the 70s. Our apostles and elders talking about the C-hip. Okay. But as you can see, all right, don't just take it out of our mouth. Look at the news. What are these devils planning to do? Okay, you have, Klaus Schwab saying you will own nothing and be happy. All right. You have these elites, having meetings about, the future, all right, of everybody being under one world system, everybody being under one world religions, all right, being one, all right, like the Tower of Babel all over again. Okay, but again, we see through it because the Lord gave us, all right, the truth and the wisdom and knowledge to see past, all right, the bullshit, all right. This I want Second Corinthians. Second Corinthians 2 and 11 says, "Let Satan should get advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." So we know, all right, what this devil's planning, all right, through the scriptures. Revelation 13 and 16. All know the precept. All right, I'm gonna read it right quick. If you first stumbling across the videos, Revelation 13 and 16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So that mark, all right, without that mark, you won't be able to buy or sell. So you won't be able to live your life without receiving, all right, the chip. How do we know it's a chip? Okay, just to break it down right quick, because when you go into that word mark in a blue letter, okay, it goes into charagma. It says a stamp and imprinted mark. of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist, the mark branded upon horses. So you take that mark here. Number one, branding yourself. Okay, you're branding yourself. You're pledging allegiance, all right, to, this system, this wicked society, to Esau's rulership. And the root word for charagma is charax. It says a pale or stake, a palisade. All right, this is, going into the device that's going to be used to insert, all right, the C-hip, the chip. All right, and the root word for charax is grapho. And when you go down, this is very important. It says to commit to writing things not to be forgotten. Write down a record. It says to write to one by writing in a written epistle to give information, directions. So what is going to keep a record on you? It has to be something physical, a device, all right, that's going to give information, all right, that's going to keep something that's never going to be forgotten, like they have, all right, the cloud, where their data is never lost, all right, that's the chip, and it's going to be used to buy or sell. All right, you have, Trump that just signed the Genius Act, for what? Crypto. All right, so they're moving to a digital system, okay, to move towards a universal basic income that's going to be used by what? A chip. All right, the value of the US dollar is going down, so they're going to cause a reset of the system. All right, and they're going to come with a solution like, see, we have this, this new thing which has been planned for decades. We have this, new digital currency. All right, and it's gonna be on this chip. So for you to be a part of this system, you need to take the chip. And if you don't take the chip, like it says, you won't be able to buy or sell. All right, and us knowing what is really truly behind it, and us not being ignorant of Satan's devices. Okay, right? We're not going to take it. Okay. People say, how can you be so sure? Because we have faith. It's Revelation 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. So because we're doing this work now, making our body a living sacrifice on a daily, Saturday throughout the week, our brothers that go out, the Lord's going to keep us from that hour of temptation. That hour of temptation is going to be, when that C-hip get presented. All right, we're going to have to make a decision. Okay, and there's only one decision to be made. It's to say no. All right. That's why you have scriptures like Romans 11:4. Lord has 7,000 men which not go about a knee. Representing that the Lord has the elect. All right, Lord willing, I'm part of that number, because we don't know that we won't take it. All right. With that alone, this quick lesson was edifying. I want to give our praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Al-Shah, Ba'ashem Kakadash, and double honor to the apostles, and elders, great millstone, and shalom to the I teaching, the four corners, and true sincerity, shalom.